Welcome. My name is Elena, and in this video we're going to be talking about force. So we're going to go over what is force, balanced and unbalanced forces, and transferring force, and how that all applies to your robot. So first, what is force? Force is any influence that, when unbalanced, will change the motion of an object. So it can also be described as a push or a pull. One force you may already be familiar with is gravity. So gravity is the force by which a planet or other body draws objects towards its center. So how do these forces affect how your robot moves? When forces are balanced, there's no movement. So right now, looking at our robot, all of the forces are balanced, so it will stay stationary. Now, when forces are unbalanced, that's when it creates movement. So it can cause a change in speed and or the direction of the movement. But to have an unbalanced force means that the force applied in one direction is greater than the force applied in the other direction. So that's how you get your robot to move. So how can your robot generate a force so we can create those unbalanced forces? Now, your robot generates a force from the motors. Now, when it generates that force, it transfers that force to the shaft, which turns your wheels. So your wheels then transfer that force to the surface. The friction between the surface of the tire and the surface of the floor creates traction. Traction allows the wheels to push against the surface of the floor that creates an unbalanced force and allows your robot to move forward. So how can your robot push or pull another object? It all goes back to balanced and unbalanced forces. So if the force generated by your robot is greater than any opposing force, which is also an unbalanced force, then your robot can push or pull that object. So let's wrap up everything that we've talked about. Force is any influence that can change the motion of your object, which is also a push or a pull. Balanced and unbalanced forces dictate whether or not your robot moves. If forces are balanced, your robot will stay in place. If forces are unbalanced, that's what creates your robot's ability to move, to change speed, or to change direction. And transferring force, your robot, that initial input comes from the motors of your robot, transfers through the axle, the wheels, to the surface, which creates the unbalanced force that allows your robot to move forward. I hope you have a great time experimenting with force in your robot, and we'll see you next time.